Are you typically attracted to people who need saving? Or I think the way it was so well put, she said, I'm attracted to like tragic people, like tragic partners, you know, who I need to save. Who relates to that? Oh, Jen, thank you. I was excited to tell you guys. Yeah, who relates to that? People you need to save. Right? So this is... It often... I've never seen it not go back to a caregiver wound. Relating, yes. Okay, so this goes back to caregiver wounding. Okay, so this goes really deep. So, and don't overthink it. You know, just you know, we're talking about the. Sorry, talking about the roots of it, right? So it's a blueprint for who was it when you were growing up that you felt like you had to save or be there for. Did you have to be the therapist to one of your parents or both of your parents or caregivers or whoever it was? You know, that's a familiar pattern. That doesn't just happen. Okay, so it's an energetic. It's something that gets locked in until we heal it. So this was my whole life until my partner came along. You know, he was a lot more grounded, you know, because I've been grounding myself. So I called in a partner with more grounding. But before that, I loved me a man who was an addict. Nom, 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 gobble, gobble. Loved a dude I could save. So I get it, and I'm with you. Yes, you're not alone. So you get to think back to, okay, this is not the first time that's happened. It's a pattern. Who was that for you growing up? By the way, this is Q&A, so if you are relating, I would love to hear it. Drop your insights, drop your questions. Okay, highly relatable. Yes, yes, yes. It often becomes, let's say, okay, this is somebody in your childhood. You know, for me, it was my dad. You know, an addict, just had all kinds of trauma that he had not worked on, so he had a lot of troubles growing up. Okay, so your little brain, from age 0 to 7, you are in a state of hypnosis, just taking in your world. You're just developing a framework for what you are and what the world is. It's unconscious. So your unconscious is all concerned about keeping you safe within relationship, keeping you secure. Okay, so if you're in a home where a parent is highly depressed, you know, my dad was also suicidal, there was just all kinds of stuff. It's an unstable system, right? So your unconscious develops and goes, okay, maybe the best way I get to stay safe is if I help them feel okay, then maybe they'll turn around and be okay and then love me. And maybe they'll love me, or maybe they'll be okay enough to take care of me and pay attention to me and see me. That's laser. Like, that may cut really deep, but so take your time and be patient with yourself as you just be curious about this and explore what that was for you. But typically that's how the little person unconscious mind works. Okay, so basically, and these are the roots of codependency, so if I can save them, maybe then they'll be there for me. Okay, and that's an unstable system. It doesn't work that way. So what happens is that it kind of ggets locked in like a program, and it just keeps running like software that hasn't been updated, and you take that into every other relationship. It's kind of like how I think of it, and been working with people for 10 years now and going through it myself. It feels like the inner child, the wounded inner child, trying to initiate herself. You're like, oh, if I can just do it this time, then I can relax, because then they'll love me and then I'll be okay. It's based on that old childhood survival blueprint. She's trying to initiate, he or she, whatever, you know, or they are trying to initiate themselves, the wounded inner child. Let's take a breath. It's a lot of deep info, so just take a breath here with me. is resonating? Makes sense? When this happens, when this blueprint happens, you know, that becomes your blueprint for, well, this is how I get to be in relationship. I can only be in relationship with when I feel needed, I feel useful. So here at, remember, age 0 to 7, you learn not only about the world and relationships, you learn about what you are and how you can be in relationship. The most basic survival stuff, it's all about relationship. Okay, relationship is the most important thing, survival-wise, to a child, even more important than food and water. There was, it wasn't a study, it was just an observation. It was heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, but there, I can't remember, 1920s, 1930s, Great Depression, I think I have my time right, anyway. But they were dealing with tons of orphans and had them in, you know, these orphanages where they were looked after, I think, by nuns, maybe. I may have my details. If somebody knows details about this, feel free to let me know. But I don't know if it's because there were so many or they just didn't know about attachment stuff, but they never touched these babies. They fed them. They all intents and purposes, their needs were met, like food, clothing, shelter, but they never were cuddled. They weren't talked to. They weren't cooed at. They weren't stroked. And they died. Okay, so it's sad that that had to happen for us to start to realize things about attachment, but you all, that's how important attachment is. And so your little survivor brain, your little unconscious, as a little person, knew that. It's like, okay, I've got to do absolutely everything I can to, like, make sure I stay safe. So what's going to keep me in the tribe? Maybe if I'm useful? Maybe then they'll keep me around? So you might have a blueprint that I can only be in relationship if I'm of use. That was definitely the case for me. I thought 10 years ago, before I started doing my own work, I came to realize that. Like, I positioned myself, not just with romantic partners, but with friends as well, of like, I have to be the one that can help. So I need tragic people. I need them because I need them to need me. That's the only way I feel I can stay safe. Raise your hand. Who's resonating with this? Obviously, that's not sustainable. That doesn't lead to any kind of conscious relationship. It only leads to resentment, because that sets you up to self-abandon over and over and over and over again, and to create resentment within yourself. And then you end up pushing them away. But I still need you, but I kind of hate you because you need all this stuff, and it's not reciprocated. I hear that a lot, but it's not reciprocated. Well, you're not setting it up to be reciprocated to, even if that's unconscious. Okay, that's not the system you've set up. That's not what your unconscious feels safe with. Your unconscious does not feel safe having a safe, secure, reciprocal relationship. And doesn't that sound funny? That you wouldn't feel safe with that. But it's true. That because it's not your blueprint. That's how the egoic mind works. If it's not your blueprint from childhood, it doesn't think anything outside of that is safe for you. That's all we know. All we know is saving tragic people, and then maybe they'll love us back one time when we save them enough. Like, it's always like this bar you can never hit. Maybe this time I'll get it. Maybe this person looks easier to save. Maybe I can save them. Like, maybe I can rescue them enough. Maybe I can give them enough. And but see, that's your wounded inner child trying to initiate herself. She's always looking for the then maybe. So if you want to journal on this, journal this prompt, this question. If it works and I do save them, then what? Then what happens? And write the answer and keep writing, then what happens, and then what happens, until your brain just explodes. And then you'll start really getting insight. Like, ooh, you'll start to peer into the world of your wounded inner child and what's actually at work here. It's not your conscious brain. The unconscious brain is responsible for 99% of all that we do, all of our behaviors, especially our relationship behaviors. Breath. Yes, relating. Yes, yes. Me. See how you're not alone? Yes, 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 yes. Any questions? I'm going to scroll up to see. Yes, so good. I'm so glad this is helpful. I'm glad it's relatable. Yes. Yes, great. Okay. So how do you get attracted to more emotionally safe partners? That's a great question. So you start to become more safe within yourself. Just going back down. Okay. So what do? What if I just ended it there? You're like, good luck. I don't know. I don't know from there. So no, that is the backstory, right? And the body is designed to heal. Remember this, the body is designed to heal itself. It always is growing toward the light, and you can't mess it up. So go into this with those two truths in mind, because they are truths. You can't mess it up. You're not going to make a mistake, because every move you make is going to lead to some fruit for you. Mistakes, quote, are the best way we learn, okay? So we get to let go of perfection. So that's the backstory, but how do we start to change this? Okay, well, it starts with you. In my masterclass yesterday, I went all through this. There were 9 steps. The first 4 were all internal and had nothing to do with anybody else. So you start to build safety within yourself. That's how the most important thing here, if you remember nothing else, remember this. Remember that if you are attracted to these people, that it sets up an unsafe dynamic. That means that's what your unconscious brain is comfortable with. That means your unconscious brain may not be comfortable with what safe even is. So we have to reprogram that into your body. Okay, when I say body, I mean subconscious. The subconscious lives within the body, okay? So what can some of this look like? You have to update your unconscious mind that it is safe to be safe. I know that sounds weird. Okay, but it is safe to be safe. That's a real thing. That's why people keep repeating patterns, because unconsciously, your brain is like, I don't fucking know this dynamic, and if I don't know it, it's got to be bad. So, start small. This takes patience. It takes work. It takes dedication. Again, patience. This takes time. There are no overnight fixes for this, not for real change. So start with one small, tiny way. In what way can you show up for yourself? In what way? Maybe start with a boundary. Okay, so if you're used to this dynamic, you probably say yes a lot when you really mean no. What's one thing you can think of today, Monday, what is it, the 27th? Depending on where you are in the world. So the 27th of September, 2021, today, what is one thing I can say no to? What's one boundary I can create? What's one thing that I can say no to that my anxious little wounded child wants to say yes just to make them happy, but I know it wouldn't make me happy? Pick one thing and then do it, and then commit to it. By when. I talked a lot about this in the masterclass yesterday. By when. By 3 p.m. today, I'm going to do it. So by committing to a certain time that you will do something for yourself, you are also reparenting yourself in a safe way. You're providing yourself consistency, safety. And then do it, and then commit to it, and do it, and celebrate it afterward. That sounds so simple. I promise you it's not. It sounds easy. It's not. And I challenge you right now, if you have your journal, find something to write on. Get it out of your head. Write down. Do that right now. Like, write down what's one, or put it in your phone, do something. What's one way that I can show up for me? One small, simple, teeny weeny little way. Don't make it too big, because the unconscious is going to rebel, and like, you're less likely to do it. One small, tiny thing. And then by when? I learned that in my personal coaching. It changed my life. By when? Do it, and then celebrate it afterward. Okay, that on so many levels starts to create safety and consistency within you. And then here's something really important. After that, after you've done it, stop and breathe and feel your body. Like, maybe you got invited to an event and your full body is like, no, I would rather die than go to this thing. Or like, no, I don't want to do this thing, but you're terrified to say no. Just as an example, okay? So say no. Try that, and then stop, breathe, feel all the physical sensations in your body. Feel into where the resistance is in your body, and just let it be. Don't try to change it. That's the really important embodiment part. Doing it is really important, the action, but then stopping, becoming really quiet and still, and breathing, feeling into whatever discomfort is in your body. Where is it tight? Where is it tense? Look for physical sensations of resistance. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sticky? Is it prickly? Is it stabby? Is it sharp? Is it choking? And just breathe oxygen into that place. Because that's your unconscious trying to tell you you're not safe, but you are. That's just your unconscious. You are a conscious being. So connect with your, whatever it is, your source, your God, goddess, spirit, guides, angels, whatever it is, the earth. Connect to your truth and breathe that in. Again, don't try to change the discomfort. That's not what we want to do. That sounds weird too. Just notice it. Because we're reprogramming your brain to know that you're in charge here. You can be uncomfortable, that's fine. We're not scared of discomfort. That's the whole way that old programs keep running, is because internally you're scared of being uncomfortable. So we get to update that system. No, I'm not scared of being uncomfortable. I'm in charge here. And you are, and you always have been, you've just forgotten. Or maybe you've never known. So do the action, do the thing, stop, breathe. Ooh, what does that feel like? That feels super scary. Like where? Where in your physical body? Cannot emphasize that enough. Physical body, where? Breathe into it. Okay? It's okay to feel uncomfortable. Notice that you're still safe at the same time. The world didn't explode. You didn't explode. You didn't burst into flames. Like nothing happened. You are still perfectly safe. And then celebrate yourself. Do a little dance, turn on some music, call a friend, celebrate in your journal, do some artwork. So it's little movements like that each day, because this gets to be a lifestyle change. Little moments like that each day, that's what changes your pattern. So that's what helps you get used to what safety and consistency and healthy relationship looks like, because you're doing it with yourself. And then you can start to do it with somebody else. You get to know what that feels like. Or at least you get to start knowing what this feels like. I'm not saying you have to wait till you're all perfectly healed, because that's not a thing. You know, we're always healing, we're always evolving until you get in a relationship. I've just been posting about that. That's not what I mean. I mean that you get to just have a sense within yourself of what that feels like. And then it's easier to discern. And you'll evolve in your choices for partners. Okay, the attraction, the sizzle just eventually will stop being there. because that's not in your energy body anymore. You know, and they're looking for somebody who wants to save them. So if that's not you, like, next, they're going to move right along. They don't want you either. So breathe that in. That's a lot. Pardon me. I've been smelling like poo. I was like, okay. Oh, I found it. I don't think I stepped in it, though. I don't think I sat in it. Just breathe. Keep breathing. Okay, no, I didn't. And that was like a self-soothing accomplishment for me right there. As I was talking, I knew I smelled poop because, like, people walk their dogs. I was like, oh, well, you know what? If I sat in it, I sat in it. There's nothing I can do about it now. Like, yes, self-soothing win right there. Okay. Yes, I'm going to look at some comments here. So, yes, absolutely don't take the bait. Yes. Yes, that's uncomfortable doesn't mean unsafe. Like that's the major thing. That is the major thing. You get to know it up here first, but then everything I just talked about, that's how you get it into your body. And getting it into your body, that's what counts. That's what changes patterns. That's why we don't read one book and then we're healed, right? Like head knowledge, that's the 1%. It has to start there. You know, like it starts there. Man, it is really a miracle. I did not, that poo was like right in front. I didn't even know it. I missed it. Surely if I like got it on my body, I would keep smelling it. But again, all well. If it happened, it happened. Okay, thanks for hanging with me through the poo. But yes, getting it into your physical body. Yes, I'm looking more at comments here. Yes. You're so welcome, Laura. That's awesome. I'm really glad this is relatable. You know, because these can tend to be really overwhelming concepts, and I really feel into the importance of making this really digestible. Like, we know what it is. Let's just go there. Let's just say it. Let's talk about the thing. Here's what it is. Bam, bam, bam. Here's what you can do. Really, really glad this is helpful. Okay. Reading more comments here. What if I, okay, so the comment here, I don't know if you're still here. What if I worry that these tools will keep me in codependency instead of running away? Not sure I quite understand your question. Thank you for asking. Thank you all for showing up and asking questions. The one thing I'll say there is be mindful of anticipating that you'll be worried. Okay, be mindful of speaking that into existence. Your words are really powerful. Okay, your words literally are magic. So if you already think is setting yourself up to feel anxious, then your unconscious will follow suit with that. What if the opposite happens? Okay, the egoic mind, it's based in fear. So what if you won't worry? What if, you know, what if these tools will lead to the best life you could imagine? Like, what about that? The tools that I just talked about, if you do them, won't keep you in codependency. They won't. Like, that's not, everything I mentioned is the opposite of codependency. Okay, if you're still on here, if you can clarify your question, or maybe ask it a different way, I'd love to speak into that more for you. Oh, good. I'm really glad this came at the exact right time. I love it when that happens, and it always does, right? Like, we are so supportive. It comes right on time. Sending you lots of love, Ace, for your big healing day. I know what those are like, so lots of love. I'm really glad this was here for you. Let's see. Okay, so Jen, does this also play into covert control? This is right there. So allowing more control on me by my caregivers. Yes, so Jen, if you're still here, if I'm understanding you right, yes, this is all about control. people who, we're talking about codependency here, right? So people who struggle with codependency, it can sometimes feel hard and gritty and painful to hear that, you're the one controlling the situation, or that you're trying to control somebody. And I'd say, let that shame lens go if that's what you're feeling, and don't make up a story about it. It is about control. This is about manipulation and control. We do try to unconsciously manipulate the situation so we'll stay safe, 100%. Yep, it can even get into, it's like, and remember, this is always, we're just trying to stay safe in a relationship. So if you're running based on fear and old programming, there's always a control element to it. It doesn't matter if you're on the codependent end, if you're on the narcissistic end, doesn't matter. It does come back to control. Because there's a part of us that likes, like the one doing the saving, because that's what came up in the workshop yesterday, was that I can kind of secure my place in the relationship if I'm always the one needed, so I need to kind of make sure that I'm still needed. Me, I'll use myself as a personal example, just a laser-focused example. I can't remember exact details, but if I really dig in the crevices of my shadow in this moment, I feel resonance with a part of me long ago that kind of wanted to keep them down, that wanted to keep them in pain. In fact, yeah, that still comes up. That's still like I don't act that out, nearly as much. If I do, I can catch it. But kind of wanted to keep them down. Because if they actually do get healthy, then I'm not needed anymore. The unconscious is tricky like that. It gets stuck in that loop. Like, well, this is apparently the only way, like that initiation your wounded child is trying to get into. It's like, it's a non-effective loop, because your blueprint is that, well, that never actually happened, so this is the only way I can stay in relationship. At least that's how I see it, but it feels accurate. Right? So yeah, there's a big element of control and manipulation that, like, I like being the one that saves. That's the only way I know to be safe in a relationship. That's the only way I know to be able to have a relationship. And there are different nuances for everybody, so maybe I'd say with that, just feel into that for you. And to feel in your body, if there's a ping in your body, like, ooh, yeah, that feels right, then there's something there for you. Yeah, as if you're still here, exactly. It's thinking of you, central nervous system safety. It's so, we can't leave that out. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, Sarah, it's been helpful for me to have a healthy space for giving, caring, to get some of the energy out. Then I don't feel the need to channel it to my relationships in an unbalanced way. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that'd be interesting to talk about more of, like, that balance. There's a flow. Like healthy giving, giving, like there's a healthy component. We're talking about the shadow side. We're talking about the fear-based side. But of course there's a space to do it in a healthy way. It's not rescuing, it's supporting. Scrolling up, just looking at some more comments here, answering questions. Let's see, okay, I think I've got them all. Okay. My mantra last night was literally, I'm safe in my body. Yes, that's one of the most important mantras you can do. Do the mantra, say the words, breathe it in. And think about doing some, for all of you, think about doing some exercises that accompany that. Like if you do, like the example I gave earlier, like an embodiment practice. Maybe you do something to stretch yourself and then come back to the mantra, breathe. The mantra is important, but also so is the embodiment. Really breathe that into your body. That's so important. I love that. Oh, good. I'm so glad it's exactly what you needed. Sun synchronicity. Again, I love it when that happens. Great, great, great. Okay. Yeah. Lots of recognition, lots of resonance here. Okay. Okay. So Jen, yes, control of others, but also feeling safe. Okay, so also feeling safe when I'm actually being manipulated, controlled, lied to. So it goes the other way. It's again, to the comment here, it's about, is there a sense of safety, like by doing the controlling? Yes, but also, do I feel safe and comfortable when I'm being controlled or manipulated or gaslit? Yep, according to your unconscious. Yeah, because that's the only thing that's familiar. 100%. Yep, I know this is like wild, but we have to know this to move forward. We have to get in there in the subconscious and go, ugh, that's what's happening? That's what's happening in my body? Like, okay, feel into this for yourself too. Feel into, because your body will tell you. Your body will tell you what lands and what doesn't. So everything I say, just filter it through your own body. If something's really resonant, then follow that. Your body's going to tell you where you need to heal. But yes, we absolutely become safe, quote, safe. Really, it's more like a comfort from being with unsafe people. Yep, that's your 0 to 7 blueprint. You're so welcome. Sharing shadow aspects for myself is really important for me to do. So hopefully to help you all know to have safety with doing that for you as well, because shadow work, I've talked about this before, but it's all the things that you'd feel ashamed about within yourself and you want to hide. And that's what keeps old patterns going. So we get to name it within safe community. So I really want for you all to hear me talk about my own things that I felt really embarrassed about within myself. Let's see. So if you're still here, the question, how do you stop that cycle of being attracted to partners who need saving? I'm going to post the replay to this. I talk through a whole embodiment practice that you can start doing to do that. Okay, it'll be posted later this afternoon. So get to about probably the middle of the video, and I talk about an embodiment practice of how to start building, because you build safety within yourself, and then you start attracting, and aka being attracted to people who don't need you to save them, if that makes sense. Same thing. Same thing here with the white hearts. This is so spot on, but how do you get out of these patterns? Again, if you jumped in kind of later, go back and rewatch, because I would say the exact same thing. Okay, get to about the middle of the video. Let's see. Is there, let's see, what you said, being with unsafe people. Elaborate just on what unsafe people are. That's how I'm understanding your question. Yeah, people who, typically people who aren't doing their work, who are still very unconscious to their own stuff. Not just that, but people who are manipulative, controlling. I often think of narcissism traits, but who also are not working on it, as in, like, we all embody that, we all have those, right? But does this person have the ability to come back around, take full responsibility or repair, or do they always blame you? Or are you always the problem? Is it always your fault? Or is it usually all about them, and when it's time for it to be about you, they're tired or they have to work, or it's never about you, it's unbalanced? Do you feel like you have to walk on eggshells with certain people? Does it always feel tense? Is it, in extreme cases, are they violent? Do they ice you out, kind of that cold violence? Do they punish you with silence? or with non-affection, or do they literally explode and become violent? So there's some examples of just unsafe behavior. No worries. That's exactly why I post the replays. So I wanted to give you a cue of like when to go back and listen. That depends. So the question is, once you notice these patterns within your own relationships, can you still make it work if both parties are doing the work? Sure. If both parties are doing the work, you're limitless. You're limitless, they're limitless. You can, I'm looking down because I'm walking on the grass and I'm looking for more poo so I don't step in it. No, yeah, totally. You know, it's not cookie cutter. So that's whether our relationship is going to work or not depends on you, depends on them. I get one of the most often questions I get asked is, when is it a time to leave? I'm like, I can't answer that for you. That's all based on you and your discernment, and there's no wrong choice. But yeah, I mean, Garrett and I, we've been together, it'll be 12 years in March. Hey, you think we haven't healed patterns together? You think I wasn't in my extreme codependency while we were still together? And like, ooh, like no. Like why we worked is because, you know, I drew in somebody who's very wanting to work on himself as well. So we were both willing to work, like wanted to, not just willing, but we love self-growth. And that's for us what helped it to not just work, but thrive. And we've healed, like, my gosh, like so many old patterns. I've healed so many father wounds, like with him being my partner. He's healed so many wounds, like, yeah, and we're still constantly doing that, right? So I would say, yeah, both are. It's the trick comes. The funny thing is, not funny, but when both partners aren't willing, you know, then it does get complicated. Okay. Let's take one last breath. Lots of info here, so I'm going to pause it there. You all, thank you so much for being here today. This just is life-giving for me. I hope it's life-giving for you, and I love you all so much. Like I said, the replay of this will be posted later this afternoon for sure. Savage Mondays. So yes, the replay will be here for you to go back and listen. And if you listen to the replay, let me know your feedback. Let me know what other questions you have. And because I go live, I do this every Monday, unless I tell you ahead of time that I'm not. If I'm on vacation or need a break or something. So, okay. And then watch out for, I do have a codependency masterclass coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll probably be posting that later today or tomorrow, likely. So be on the watch for that. We'll go into this and a lot more with more precision and steps and things to do. So yes, sending you so much love. You're so welcome. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here in our precious community and doing the savage work and being our savage, real, whole, full selves and learning to love every bit of that. Okay. Love you all.